Welcome to Starting With Podcast. I'm your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is the show where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. And like the title describes, I'm doing my X-Men review. I know it's hella late, so yay. I know you already sort of have your opinions on X-Men, but I want you all to sort of, I would say, take a moment and look at what I'm saying. And I think there's a couple of things that are in this set that I feel like it's a meta set, but I also feel like there's a bunch of trash. So yeah, there's that. So let's go ahead and get going. So let's start with 01 Wolverine. You're calling him in for his trait. Opposing characters within 3 squares can't use stealth or shape change. Period. It's a global effect. That's what it's good for. It's sort of sad that he has to be so close because usually, those types of game effects are like 4 or even 6 squares away. But I'll take it. You pop an ID card. Now your opponent is in stealth. I think this is really great for killing those people that are doing OMA Unimind. Oh, hey, I have a Nightbringer ring in a what's that? Not Regenesis ring. That would not be the ring. Remaker, and it's just like Wolverine ID card, fool. Like, yeah, and I get exploit. Sucks to be you. Congrats. So yeah, I think that this figure right here is going to see a lot of play. I also think that this figure alone might cause the death of OMA Unimind or Double Ring Unimind. So just because the ID card gives you a power action to call in that Wolverine to just mess up someone's day because of how many people are dependent on those powers. So, yeah. Let's keep going. The Rogue is okay. Now, I know some of you might say, what? What are you talking about? This figure should be bad. And again, let's look at it in context. As an ID card, she's actually pretty good. Now, you still need a way of getting her off the board. I wouldn't call her in without a way of getting her off the board. But for the fact is that for 60 points, she's charge, flight, indom, 11 attack, 4 damage. And you can pump and steroid her up on an X-Men theme team really easy with a couple of Moiras. She can one hit KO a lot of figures. The fact that she has still energy is like icing on the cake. Could you play her standard as like a secondary attacker? You could. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it because in the current game scape, she's just going to get one shot by a Cyclops call in. So yeah, like I don't think this is good. And I know some of you are going to say, but which Cyclops and how? Like, if as long as you have a Psychic Blast or an Outwit, the stat mods are there to make almost any call in just guaranteed. Like KO a character less than 6 or 7 clicks. So all right, let's go ahead and go on to Beast. Is Beast good? Beast is good for X-Men theme teams because functionally in one figure you have 2 Moira McTaggarts. That's pretty much it. In one figure you have 2 Moira McTaggarts. So you can look at this as, yay, less characters I have to carry around, or ooh, more liability, or whatever else. Like there's multiple ways of looking at it. So I do see that this character has a future. I see it primarily on X-Men theme teams. I do not really see him being used on ID cards outside of X-Men theme teams because we have Regenesis Beast, which is a hero. Like grade A hero. So yeah, there's that. Assassin's Guild. This is probably only going to be seen on martial artist teams as fodder. So yeah, like just go ahead and and roll past that. Guard command. Wow. This sucks because you're really not going to be in a position of using incapacitate on with him most of the time. And once he goes into his like defend support combo, he's more than likely dead 90% of the time. So don't play this. Friends of Humanity. Friends of Humanity are broke strong. Should not exist in this game. I wish they really didn't even make them this way. Now, I know some of you are going to be like, hold up, wait. Friends of Humanity? They're broken? What? I have to hear this. And so let's break down why Friends of Humanity are broken. Now, the thing that Realms doesn't tell you is in this preview thread, they have them at 10 points, but they also can be 5 points. And with them being 5 points, guess what? You get to play them with Sentinel. And Sentinel, because that's one of their keywords, Sentinel is dumb strong now because they are designed to take out these X-Men. And you functionally have given me a crap ton of little guys at 5 points to do all of my theme team probs off of. And at 5 points, I can pretty much boost my Sentinel theme team to stupid. Okay, so what's 5 times 5? It's 25. What's 5 times 6? 30. Okay? Now, I want you, I said something that simple just to put it into your mind. For 25 points, I'm plus 5 to my theme. For 30 points, I'm plus 6 to my theme. For 50 points, I am plus 10 to my theme. You see where I'm going there? Functionally, Friends of Humanity makes it so that Sentinels can get whatever map they want. Whatever map they want. And have and be used as theme props. Now, I know some of you might say, well, but they are still one-click wonders. They are, which you have to attack. Because if you don't, while some of the Sentinels might be double tokened, and I know you could Colossal Push, but you choose not to Colossal Push, you have range combat experts, you have willpower and blades, you have plasticity poison, you have empower. Like, there are things here that are rather strong. The fact that I could potentially have 5-point empower in and of itself is a problem. So I must say, do not sleep on these when the set comes out. Like, make sure you have like 4 or 5 at minimum, because Sentinel is going to be a good theme. Just for the pure fact of it can spam. It can spam. That's just the basics of it. So yeah, let's move on down. Boulevard Trask. You have he's okay. He's okay. So you look at his special power, and he has support as free, but only target characters with Sentinel or Robot keyword. Okay, great. He also has a leadership that when it succeeds, instead of normal effect, you can generate a Friends of Humanity. If he's adjacent to 3 or more Friends of Humanity, he can generate a Sentinel. Oh my gosh. I wonder how we're going to get more Friends of Humanity. I just wonder how when they're 15 points. Oh my gosh. The struggles. So yeah, like, you really need to, like, I'm not lying. Like, Sentinel is the play for the future. Like, they're taking over. Okay, so then you have, excuse me, Scanner. I've seen this played in in battle royales, it's okay. I don't see her keywords being that good. I don't see her being that popular. So that's just how I look at it. Same thing with Callisto. Callisto has some potential, but all the wrong keywords, nothing useful. So she's gone. Klein Stock Brother. These guys are okay. I only see them being played if you're going Alkalites, and because they are your henchmen. They are allowing you to sort of stay in the cause, so to speak. So I like that, but they're not competitive. Magneto. So this is where you get the beginning of them trying to do something that fits, but not doing it that well. So at 75 points, he has a 7 range. He has 11 attack, 3 damage. He has telekinesis once per turn when Magneto uses it. After resolutions, roll a d6, 5 through 6. Choose one, remove an action token from a character placed by telekinesis, or he can use telekinesis at no cost. Okay, so this is an inferior version of the reality gem, I think, because the reality gem, I think, gives you TK on a common, which I'd rather just assign the reality gem to make it have a better version of this. Pretty much. So I this is the part where I'm like, why are you inflating something that you have willing to give me for cheap? Like, this power is obviously way expensive for this Magneto to have, to blow up its cost to be this much. Okay? So I don't like it. So we gotta let this go. So let's keep going down. Then we have Danger Room Magneto, which everybody's like, put him inside of a vehicle. He'll be strong. Which, my response is, okay, great. That's really all these Danger Room constructs are really going to do, is you're going to put them inside of a vehicle. Excuse me, and they'll be strong. Okay, great. All right, so that's the lesson. Move on. For every Danger Room guy, that's pretty much the same thing. Put them inside a vehicle and they'll be strong. All right, Deadpool, he's crap. Seen him in action, not worth your energy. He doesn't have good keywords. He's crap. Cyclops. The Cyclops is okay. Number 13, Cyclops. But I don't like this unique modifier, this gene. At the beginning of your turn, you may choose a combat value of Cyclops adjacent to a friendly character named Jean Grey. Modify chosen combat values by +1. It's like, not worth it. Not worth it. Because you require adjacency. Now, I know this is low rarity, but still, think this through, WizKids Design. Just think this through. If I need to have a character and it's adjacent and I'm only getting a +1, I should be getting something a little bit better, because I'm limiting my movement and I'm limiting how I can navigate the board for these bonuses. Give me something good. Be like, oh, Gene, you provide, Mastermind for Gene. Or better yet, you're able, if you provide Mastermind, you reduce incoming damage by 2 or something like that. Because this character clearly doesn't have damage reduction until later on, and then when it does have damage reduction, then you say, oh, you have toughness, but then no, you have to pick one reducer or the other, and so you reduce by 1 or reduce by 2. So boom, there you go. Something like that. If you're going to try to give me something that is going to be a stat mod, give me a +2 on anything but damage. Then it's sort of worth it. So, I can make my range 10. So I'm adjacent to Jean, the fight's going on down there. Jean is, hurt or whatever. So now Cyclops is like, I got you, baby, +2 range. Boom, bam, there you go. Now I know some people say, well, that should be a rare or a super rare. And I would say, okay, if that's the case, save a power like that for that rarity. Or give me little like 0.5s. Like, oh, this is a 0.5 common. It's a 1.5 common. Okay, give me something. Like hell, even if I had to say roll on a 5 or 6, I can get a +2. I think that would have been better. All right. Let's keep going. Then we have the Jean Grey, where she's like, Scott, same thing applies, except Jean Grey is crappier than Cyclops. Now here comes Cable, which, considering that we had Deadpool Cable, which was like one of the better cables in all of heroclix existence, unfortunately getting wiped out due to that pesky thing called retirement. Oh man, that Cable was boss. I loved him so much. I'm looking at him right now. Like, everything about him is on point. This Cable is not a bad replacement in so much that we have a couple of interesting takes with him. So we have the futuristic hologram, so we pay 25 points. So it makes him 100 points. So during force construction, you can add up to 2 more cables on your force. But they're at that lower starting line. They're on that other starting line. And they have 0-point values. And then, yeah, I think they're fine. They're just like the Lokis. And I think that WizKid's re-approaching the Loki situation is good. Now, I wish that they had shape change or something where you're able to, generate more and more time slide cables. And I think that would have been fun. Because now all of a sudden Cable is a force multiplier. If you don't take care of Cable after Cable or 2 of his guys land, 3 shots or 4 shots, like you say, like Cable lands an attack, you get a future token or whatever. Once Cable generates 4 future tokens, you may generate a 0-15 Cable from the sideline, starting him on yellow click 1 or whatever. Boom. Now I have to land 4 attacks. So in a 300-point game, if I'm not running leadership, then all of a sudden it's going to take me 2 turns for me to get more cables out. And in the meantime, I have, Cable Prime, who still has that click. If he gets knocked onto it, all my other cables go and disappear. I think that's great. I think that is freaking great. Because then I'm able to force multiply, but also manage my risk. And I think that's something that they could have done, but they didn't do. But man, whatever. But overall, this Cable is good. This Cable is definitely worth playing. Unfortunately, I don't think people will be playing this Cable. Yeah, I just don't think people will be using this Cable. Excuse me. I mean, heck, he even has telekinesis once per turn is free. Like, that, it's good. It's good. So, I mean, he can double tap. He can double tap people. I think folks, they're going to sleep on it. And then I talked to a guy at at Worlds, and he was saying, like, look, why did I hate on X-Men and this, that, and the other? And I said, look, I'm looking at X-Men 2.0, and I think X-Men 2.0 has, is a good thing, but it requires us to get past, Wolverine from XSS, the Super Rare Wolverine. And I said it requires people to think differently. And until someone else provides the mold, unfortunately, most people are not going to be looking at X-Men seriously. And this is another instance of like, this has potential, but people won't be looking at like, oh, look, this character could potentially double tap. Folks will be like, well, I need my objects because I'm running Exospecs and I'm running the Time Gem or the Reality Gem or whatever the heck else. So that's only going to leave me with one object. So I don't really think that that's a good look for me. You know, there's a tons of things that you can do. Anyway, I digress. I like this piece. I think it has potential. I just think that we will never see it because, again, it requires people to think it through. Belladonna, overall, I would say she is a middle-of-the-road character. Player if you want her, but you're never going to see her in competitive. Excuse me. Let's go ahead. Graydon Creed. This is another one of those, look at me, I'm a sentinel. I'm going to generate Friends of Humanity. So this isn't bad, but he's not the guy that I would definitely want. But he's okay. So let's look at his spreading the mutant virus. Poison, when a character takes damage from Graydon Creed's poison, give them a disease token. When Graydon Creed uses poison, roll a d6, 4 through 6. Deal 1 damage to each character with 1 or more disease token. When a character with a disease token is healed, remove all of their disease tokens. Now, the question is, I figured he uses poison that triggers, and then on a 4 through 6, so you have a 50-50 chance of dealing 1 damage. Now, this 1 damage, of course, can be reduced. So if the poison knocks them to a reducer, then it's like, well, sucks to be you. But I really wish that his poison was penetrating if they have a disease token. Or the damage that he deals through this was penetrating. Because if so, then all of a sudden, like, he's actually pretty scary. And you have to deal with him. But the fact that he's 4 clicks, he's so short. Yes, he does have traded leadership, but man, like, you're better off with Trask and a couple of other characters. Yeah, so just drop Graydon Creed. He's not worth it. I think he's also Sabretooth's dad. It's either Sabretooth's dad or Sabretooth's son. I remember it was something weird with Graydon Creed. This is bad. It's like I didn't plan this. So let's go find out. Yeah, Graydon Creed. I think. Okay. Okay. Yeah. He is the son of Mystique and freaking Sabretooth. I knew it. I knew there was something up with that. I remember, yeah, I knew he was like something along those lines. And yeah, that was that is actually pretty interesting. All right, so going back, it's amazing, like when you have your like little comic lore kick into your back of your brain. and you're like, I know there's something more there. But yeah, so Great Creed, did they do him dirty a little? But man, whatever. Senator Robert Kelly. This one is weird because he's a betrayer, which sort of does suck. But he has stoking the mutant hysteria, Mutant Registration Act leadership. When Senator Robert Kelly uses it instead of normal effect, you may generate friends of humanity. If he's adjacent to 3 or more friends of humanity, you may generate a Sentinel instead. Sentinels. As long as you can generate a Sentinel, the G002, I call that a win. Because again, if we're running a Sentinel theme team, getting 3 friends of humanity is like farting. It's easy to do. Okay? You're paying 15 points. So you're telling me for 45 points, I can generate a G002 Sentinel. Fine, I'm doing it. Okay? And so the biggest thing, and I know I'm probably one of the few people that is probably going to say this. The Sentinel hype train is real. Like how I was hating on the Borg for Star Trek, I'm almost hating on X-Men the same way in this set. I feel like Sentinels are going to be a huge game changer. I think they're going to be a huge game changer. I think anybody that is not ready for the Sentinel coming, you're going to get cold. You're going to get cold by Sentinels. Now, does that mean that it's automatically going to beat a lot of stuff out there? No, it's not. It still has a little bit of struggle bus out in its design. But I do think that Sentinel, like I said before, is going to come back and bite people in the butt. I mean, you have Tri-Sentinel. And Tri-Sentinel right now is, my boy Lucas Van Hollen proved it's high grade meta. So you start mixing that in with the other Sentinels, and now Sentinels are standard theme team, not just mystical, not just robot, but like I got theme probs and stuff. Ooh yeah, ooh Friends of Humanity. So good. So yeah, going on. Let's keep going. Amelia Voigt. She is okay, but she's only good for Brotherhood, in my opinion, because she's a hyper taxi. And that's the thing with the Mutant Messiah stuff and being a hyper taxi, you're just left a little bit lackluster. So she's good for Acolytes, which you're really not going to play too much, even though Exodus and a few others are good, but you're primarily going to be playing with Brotherhood of Mutants, which is a good thing. All right, you got Fabian Cortez. Now, Fabian Cortez, if anybody remembers the X-Men cartoon, he pretty much was the energy juicer for whatchamacallit, for Magneto. He was the one that allowed him to switch the polarities of the Earth. And that. I remember when they did that in the comics. I was like, oh my gosh, they did that. Oh my gosh. And then, but pretty much like all drugs, it has a cost on you. So he has Mutant Messiah, which is like, okay, cool. Power Overload. Choose an adjacent character, modify the chosen character's combat values by +1 until your next turn. At the end of your turn, roll d6 of 3 through 6, deal the chosen character 1 unavoidable damage, and heal Fabian Cortez 1 click. Now, I am going to say something that's going to be blasphemy to some people. But I believe Fabian Cortez is high meta. And there it goes. I sense it now. Okay, why is Fabian Cortez high meta? Okay, so it goes like this. Any character that has an activation click that does have a damage reducer requires Fabian Cortez to potentially get them activated on turn 1. Okay? So, because you have a 2 out of 3 chance of taking the feedback. Okay? So, why am I going here and I'm specifically saying damage reduction? Well, because if not, you have, I think it's the incandescence ring that gives you knockback, or I forgot. One of the Mandarin rings allows you to knock back a character 1 square. So all you have to do is go to a character that doesn't have damage reduction, because it doesn't say friendly or opposing. It just says knock back a character. And you just be like, bloop, knock you back into a wall. There you go. And then you're popping off. You know, it's time to go. That's easy. You know, so like if you go into some classic games, you would have to, you know, push, and then once you push, and then you're, you know, onto your I'm actually worth a darn click, and you can't do anything until turn 4. Okay, so in this situation, Fabian Cortez says, "Look, I'm going to give you this super dose serum. Bloop. Oh, you're rejecting it. Oh, man, you're bleeding all over the floor. Oh, but you're good to go. You're super powered now. Let's get the mission going." So, yes, Fabian Cortez. Really, really high potential of being meta. All right, next up is Blob. I see the potential for Blob. But, yeah, I don't like Blob. I don't like Blob. Mainly for me, the main reason I don't like Blob is for the points that I'm paying, he doesn't offer me anything that I feel like I need in this game. The fact that he takes a maximum of 1 damage is great until you get pulse waved. And there's enough ways to get pulse wave in this game. So if you're telling me, oh, but Dark Logos, he's the man, I'm like, no, he's a mistake. So don't use Blob. Toad has never been good. There's never been a good Toad, I think, in the entire history of heroclix. Like, Toad has always sucked. So because Toad sucks, nothing really has changed in this situation. Yeah, there's nothing that has really changed. He has leap, climb, and plasticity, big whoop. He has super senses. When Toad uses it and fails, after resolution, you may either move him a number of squares equal to a super senses result, or remove an action token from him. So again, Toad sucks. What's there to really say? What else is there to say? All right, so next up is Sabretooth. And Sabretooth is pretty good. Charge, flurry, blades, 3 damage. Like, he's good. Are you going to play him? Maybe. Maybe not. Coming in at 75 points, I don't think that he can back a team the way that a more range-focused character in that point range can. Even though he has charge flurry, there's not a lot of stuff that's set up in Brotherhood. I'll take that back. There are some things in Brotherhood. There's a Magneto, I think, that actually is pretty good. But there's not a lot of things really set up for him where he can just be like go from safety into being launched into the middle of everything real easily. And I think that's his main problem. Now, if you can pull that off, then boom, there you go. Like, there you go. But I think that's his major problem. Sabretooth, Danger Room. Again, put inside of a vehicle. There you go. Problem solved. Alright, next up is Storm. And this Storm is like a combination of several mechanics on other characters in the past that they've tried to get to work or encourage people to use that, in all honesty, people haven't been using. And having seen this character in action, I would say there are a couple of points in which I would put in some like addendums. So her special trait is when Storm hits with an ranged attack, after resolution, place a lightning marker in each target square. Okay, so in each hit target square. At the beginning of your turn, choose a lightning marker in an effect. Deal 1 penetrating damage to a character occupying the square with the chosen lightning marker and remove that marker, or place the chosen lightning marker into a square next to its current square. Okay, so this is pretty much Golden Falcon Soaring 2.0 mixed in with that Thunder God effect from the 15th anniversary Thor, the one that nobody really played and that really sucked. So it's a sort of a combination of those two, and I think this is one of the main problems that I have with it. It needs that Golden Falcon Soaring moving 3 squares. It needs that. Not only does it need that, it needs something else where you can move multiple lightning markers, at least 2, to just jack with people. Because you're hitting the person and you have to wait until the beginning of your turn to sort of trigger the effect. And I think that is where the problems start to begin. Is that the attack happens, then there's this lightning cloud around them. And then their next turn, they're like, I'm getting the heck up out of here. And they can get 5, 6, 7 squares away. And there's nothing that you can do. Okay? There really isn't anything. And you can't really pursue your opponent with that lightning cloud. And that's what makes it frustrating. Is that moving 1 square, unless you can barrier in your opponent, it's not, even putting down the barrier, it's not worth it. So as much as I would love to see like a whole field full of lightning clouds, as cool as that would be, WizKids sort of has dropped the ball on the implementation of this effect, I feel. So yeah. Alright, let's go to Gambit. Gambit's okay. He's not great. He's not, super pimp. He's okay. So yeah, that's really all I gotta say. I think also he may have Perplex on one of his early clicks. I'm not quite sure. I played with them. I don't remember everything clearly. I was tired. Oh man, 2 hours. Oh gosh, yeah, the 2 hours of energy. 2 hours of sleep. Yeah, that was a hell of a ride I was on. Okay, so the fact that he has energy explosion when Gambit uses it and the roll is doubles and hits increase the damage dealt to all hit character targets by 1. I like that. Running shot stealth, I like that. But there's really nothing that's super great about Gambit. If he was an ID card, he would be baller, but he's not. So there you go. Jubilee. You all wouldn't know what to do if I wasn't around. Once per game, when Jubilee would be KO'd and is adjacent to a friendly character with the X-Men keyword, instead turn her to click 4, protected pulse wave. Yes, I like this from an ID card call-in perspective. If you're running X-Men theme team. You're just in time for the fireworks. Energy explosion. When she uses it, hit characters modify attack by -2 until your next turn, and after resolutions, deal 1 penetrating damage to all hit characters with the robot keyword, which is the best thing to help you fight all these darn sentinels. But unfortunately, her range is booty. Straight booty. So you have, like, Jubilee comes onto the scene of X-Men, the animated series. She's like the typical Gen Xer kid at the time. She's in the mall with her brightly colored stuff on, the bubble gum and everything. And the Sentinels land outside the mall, detect her, and then try to chase her down. Now, these are 90s malls. For millennials, you might not understand. Malls used to be these things were a combination of like Amazon and hangout places. That's what malls used to be. Instead of just where you're forced to go and pick up your order online. That's what malls used to be. Okay. So, because of that, it makes sense for her to have her powers the way they are slotted. Unfortunately, she is like the Obi-Wan Kenobi for mutants in this set. And they did not set her up. They did not set her up for success. Okay? They gave her the one thing that was going to push back the Sentinel Tide. And it's on a 4-range character. It's like, no. This is bad. This is really bad. So, yeah. She'll see play. It's just, unfortunately, it won't be as much as she deserves. Frenzy. No. Just no. It's just bad. You just pass. Acolytes, Femizon, X-Men, Soldier. I don't even know when she was an X-Men. Yeah, that's yeah. Just pass on her. She's not worth 80 points. Don't get hypnotized by that starting 19. Do not get hypnotized by that starting 19 unless there's something that comes out that just grants characters defend. If so, then yes, okay, do that. But until that day comes, don't get hypnotized by that starting 19. And the fact that she has Battle Fury just makes everything so much more difficult because you can't get her into position outside of TK. She can't be carried. So it's a whole lot of problems. All right, let's keep going. Random. This used to be one of my favorite characters growing up as a kid. Seeing him as a heroclix is pretty cool. Unfortunately, he is way overcosted for what he does. The dude is functionally just... He's not a redneck, and he's not a good old boy. He's just that punk rocker... Not even that. He's like the classic rocker white dude who actually has like gray skin, and his hands turns into a shotgun. Like, to like an energy shotgun. That's pretty much what he is. He's super durable, and he has an energy shotgun hand. That's it. And he betrayed the X-Men later on, like during Onslaught, I think. I forgot. But yeah, he hanged around with like X-Men and X Factor and all those other guys for a while. He was a good guy. He was a pretty good character, like, to follow. And he has yeah, the improved targeting, shoot out of adjacency. Yeah. So him having traded shape change is deceiving because he never changes his body. He just changes his arm. So I don't think you should get shape change. Yeah, that's the best way I could put it. Because he doesn't get knives. He just makes a gun. Free, choose a standard attack power. Random can use that attack power until your next turn. Again, I think like if you gave him the options limited to pulse wave, energy explosion, side blast, precision strike, that would make sense. His cost would be less. Get rid of the shape change crap because he doesn't deserve that. And there you go. I think you have like a 70-point character for the dial length and what you're done with them. That would make sense. That would make sense. Okay. Then you have Morph. Morph is a weird one for me because as a X-Men fan, I love the character. As a heroclix player, I'm sort of torn. So Morph has shape change. When Morph uses succeeds, you may choose the new target. You may choose another legal target if able. If shape change roll was a 6, you may choose a character friendly to the attacking character. Target must be otherwise legal. The fact that you're able to turn that around on your opponent is nice. He has plasticity, sidestep, stealth. So you can sort of just get away out of most situations. I like that. The fact that his dial is so short leads me to a lot of concern. Definitely when you start talking about him surviving in this game, and I don't see that happening. I know I feel like they took that part of the X-Men cartoon and went a little too far with it, but I understand why. All right, so then you have Prime Morph, which is the impersonate thing. Shape change, but succeeds on a 4 through 6. Morph uses it and succeeds. You may choose a new target and may choose a target friendly to the attacking character. Now, the Prime does it better. The Prime does this entire thing better. Okay, plasticity, sidestep, stealth. Now, you drop the perplex, mind you, for exploit weakness. But, yeah, it says, we thought you were dead. Whenever a character is KO'd, you may place Morph in that square that character occupied. That gives him a free get the heck up out of there card at any point in time. And I think that is very strong for a couple of reasons. One, the fact that he can be put in positions that he normally wouldn't be able to get access to is one part. Two, there are a couple of 25-point IDs that you just don't want your opponent to like spring on you. That Morph could just drop on people and just mess them up. So I be on the lookout for Morph Prime. It's definitely a good pick. Definitely a good pick. Bastion, I want him to be good. I really want him to be good. I cannot get behind him because of his point cost. Stoking the mutant hysteria, that part is nice. Prime Sentinel, sleeper agents, once per turn when an opposing bystander is KO, you may roll a d6 4 through 6. Generate the same bystander in the square the opposing bystander last occupied. These bystanders you generate modify combat values by +1 and have max 1. Now, that second trait is boss. But the problem for me is this. Okay? The problem for me is this. He, as a fighter, and as the guy that did Operation Zero Tolerance, this is probably not the best Bastion that we could get. And you have a Colossal version that's just outclassing everything that this character does. I'm sorry. Like, you should have thought about the design a bit better. 11 attack, 18 defense, 3 damage at over 100 points. I'm sorry, that's not a good starting click. Now, if he had an 8 range and he had 3 damage, then I can understand that. Now, I know everybody's like, look, he has Perplex, Edward. He has Perplex. He can up his damage to 4. It's not bad. It's not bad. But unfortunately, this game has conditioned us to say, if you are starting off and you're over 100 points, unless you have a very good gimmick, which he doesn't. He has a okay gimmick. Unless you have a very good gimmick, you have to be at minimum 11 attack, 4 damage. And that standard has been there since Superman. That standard has been there since the Superman set. Okay? And we're looking at 125 points. I'm sorry. I know he's a bit power rich. Definitely up front. But no, like, he's way too much. He's way too much in his cost. The only way I could justify him being his point values is if he had like a stop click on click 4 or a stop click on click 7. One of the two. That's the only way I could justify his points being the way they are. But because they're not, I'm like, no, you just go ahead and pass on it. All right, Avalanche. Yep, Avalanche is good. Just play him. Like, for his price, I feel that you're going to see a lot of Avalanche coming out. The fact he has Giant Reach 4, I think. Yes, Giant Reach 4. And after resolution, or after, he can use barrier at no cost. Yep. He has Quake or barrier. You know, he quakes and then he barriers at no cost. Or he has Giant Reach 4. Like, that's just, it's good. It is good. Now, here's the problem with the Giant Reach 4. Because he's not a giant himself, he doesn't have line of fire. So he needs to have line of fire to his targets. He doesn't just get to attack everybody. Now, unless there's something in the pack that I'm overlooking, that's what I thought it is. But if that's, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. Then he's just that much better. Okay. So, next up. Fantasia. No, don't play her. I played her in Battle Royale. She's bad. She is bad. She's an attempt at a control piece and a tie-up lockup piece that fails to do it. That's pretty much it. Mesmero. The X Circus is in town. Yay. For 45 points, he's good. But other than that, I wouldn't play him normally. Mind Control, when Mesmero uses it, you may choose a hit character, can use improved movement, ignores elevated terrain, and can't make attacks. If you do, after resolution, deal 2 damage to any hit character that moved from higher elevation to lower elevation during that action. So there you go. Not the best, but okay. Now here, let me say something real quick about a positive about this figure. They kept him cheap, kept his range high, and made his damage low. They could have made it at 0 for all I care. Excuse me. But they did the right thing, I feel. So that's it for part 1 of the X-Men overview. And I will see you in part 2. But if you don't have time for part 2, follow me on Twitter at StartOverPod. It came from outer space and told me, man, this is going to be a long review, probably a 3-parter. You can donate to me by going over to startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com and donate there. That's it. I will see you all in